Guys, 3 tips from the studio today for you. As I was moving into the new year, I was doing some upkeep and making some shifts and changes. This first one here, I don't know if you've ever coveted those really beautiful thick glass palettes that artists will sometimes have, or the glass tabletops that they have in their studios. This is a little hack to make your own. Get yourself a frame with an actual glass plate in it. And if you like that neutral gray on some of the glass palettes, pop in a neutral gray piece of paper or scrapbook paper, or if you have those disposable palette pages, you can pop those into it as well. As you can see, I overlapped a couple of my gray scrapbook pages. Didn't fit perfectly in, but that's okay. When I'm mixing colors, it doesn't matter. And this whole setup cost me under $5 rather than paying like $50 or more for a nice size glass palette. It's 12 by 12. It's perfect for my space and what I do. And it cleans up really nicely. And as you can see, as you put your colors on there, you get a really pure view of what the color is when it lays on a neutral gray like that. Okay, so to clean this baby when you have dried paint on it, it's really simple. First I spray it with some water, and then I let this sit for a few minutes. I'll go do something else and then come back. And then you can just really easily scrape this off. Sometimes it takes a little longer to sit, but for the most part, it just kind of wipes right off. So this part doesn't look too pretty, but cleans up nice. And so I scrape up most of it like that, and then just take a paper towel or a rag and wipe up that gunk. And a little spray of Windex. Voila! Now my next tip is for those of you who use drawing boards, either to protect your table surface or just to keep a piece on that you're going to work on for a while and have an easy way to move it around, or to take it to different locations, right? So these drawing boards I've used for a long time. They're great. This is one of my oldest ones, and as you can see, there's tons of paint on it, and that gets a little bit crinkly. But sometimes having just one drawing board isn't enough. And so if you like to work on multiples to keep yourself loose and free in your process, go into the home, like a Home Depot or hardware store, and getting some masonite cut down to different sizes of paper sizes that you like. You can have multiple pieces going at once, and it doesn't take up that much more space than your drawing board. You just stack them in the corner or in between something. I love having multiple masonite boards and being able to tape right on that. It's essentially the same as a drawing board. I just use loose clips or tape to tape down the paper that I'll be working on. And I have several of those, again, different sizes. You can do 12 by 12s, 8 by 10s, 9 by 12s, 18 by 24s. I like a variety so that I have a few to meet my mood, and then I can move them around as I'm working on other pieces too. My next table tip is for those of you, if you're like me and you always wanted a drawing or art table when you were a kid but you never got one, or perhaps you're living in some limited space and need some options that are different. So this year I did consider a drawing table for inside the house, but instead of that, I decided to go with something that made more sense for the reality of my life, and it was quite a bit cheaper. And this is a easel, or drawing board easel, that goes on top of a table, as you can see in the pictures here. It folds up nicely, again, can be tucked in a closet or what have you. It travels from different tables you may have, and that's what I love about it, because I can use it in the studio if I want to stand and paint at my table, or I can take it in and use it at our dining table or a little fold-up table in the living room if I'm needing a change of location. But this is an awesome little thing to invest in if you are interested in something that has that angle, gives you the option to stand up, or gives you that feeling of having a drawing or art table without taking up the permanent space that a drawing table can take. Next tip I have for you is one of my favorites. It's a little tip to clean old brushes and bring some of them back to almost like new life, especially when your bristles may have some dried in paint in them, or they're just not laying how they were when you bought them. Rather than tossing them, give this a try, and you already have the solution probably in your home. It's Murphy's oil. So what you'll want to do is take a jar or Tupperware, some generous amount of Murphy's oil and water, and let those brushes soak there for a couple of hours, and then come back in and use your fingers to massage them with that kind of oily Murphy's oil water. And then give them a nice rinse, and then you want to dry your brushes. And a tip for that, I like to use a pan. You can find some other way if you need to, but basically you want the bristles of your brush to be drying a little bit lower than the way the handles are laying. So I use a towel and an old cookie sheet and leave them there for a few hours so that that water drains all the way out and it's not going back into the handle of the brush. I think one of the most great surprises about this little tip is how especially your flats and your rounds will take back the shape that they had when you originally got them just beautifully. I hope those tips are helpful or inspiring for your creative art practice. I'm Haley, and you can discover more resources as well as courses at haleycarla.com. If you like what you learned, a subscribe or like goes a long way. Let me know if you have any questions, and happy creating.